Hey, what's going on, guys? It's DK. Back at you with another video here to break down the 9-game NBA slate on Monday. If you're a first-time viewer, welcome. My name is DK. Make content for Draftkings, NBA Top Shot, and for Prize Picks. The sponsor of this video, guys, is Roast Number. If you're a coffee lover, give them a try. You can use my discount code DKDFS for 20% off your order. Also going to be doing a new stream tomorrow with Mark from Roast Umber. We're going to be talking a lot of prize picks, going over some community picks and doing some giveaways, doing some coffee giveaways. If you're a big coffee lover, if you're a big sports gambler, check out the live stream tomorrow, guys. I'll tweet out more information tomorrow morning. And if you're looking for more in-depth DFS content, I do offer that at patreon.com. That is linked down below if that is something that you're looking for. But let's take a look at the pack of my lineups here from tonight. So I went with a showdown and for a main slate. And again, appreciate all the new viewers and again, for everyone's support. If this is your first time watching, we go over my lineups every night. We tilt, win or lose. And when we lose, we tilt more. So, we do that every single day. But let me just go, okay. Start the showdown slate. I'm like super confident. I'm like, all right. Now I'm going to enter the windmill here. I really like this lineup once Rudy Gobert got ruled out with, Luka and the captain and just jamming those Utah guys. So I faded Chalk Hernan-Gomez for Rudy Gay. It ended up working out. The Jazz get blown out. A couple people in this tournament got away with playing Jalen Brunson. You don't play Jalen Brunson on this showdown. Like, min cash, and since I tied with someone, I actually lost $30 on this. So that's tilt number one. Jazz get massively blown out when I stack them in the showdown slate. Should have got first place. As every single night, I should have got first place. But this one especially, should have gotten first place. Jalen Brunson. Get lucky, kids. Robert Williams on pace to break the slate. Really punish the half the field that faded them. Really just end their night, send them to the showdown slate, right? Injured, out for the game. Grant Williams. Now, I talked about this guy for a while on the Patreon live stream. We knew he was going to be popular. There's still a chance he's a bust. Like, he's a low usage guy, but I was obviously, you can take a look at the rest of my lineup. I was getting contrarian enough, so I just ate the Grant Williams chalk. Massive foul trouble, loses huge minutes. Still salvaged an okay day, but lost a good chunk of minutes because of random foul trouble. Of course, right? In my lineup. Okay. This is... how do I word this? Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown were really good plays, right? They were good plays on this slate. They were both massively overowned in tournaments, right? Just extreme chalk, Tatum and Jaylen Brown. So I see what's going on in the game, right? I look, second half. Grant Williams, massive foul trouble. Robert Williams injured. So I'm like, okay. It can't get any worse, right? It cannot get any worse than this. I'm looking at this game, like Minnesota can't score. Boston, they can't miss. It's like a 30-point game at the fourth quarter. I'm looking at this, I'm like, okay. There is no way, right? No way Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum are checking in to begin the fourth quarter. This game is over. Empty the benches, right? Because if I had either of those guys, you very well know the end of the bench is in, right? Luke Cornett is in the game if I had Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum to begin the fourth quarter. And I'm sure if you missed the tilt last game, I played a low-owned Lance Stevenson, hoping for the blowout. The game blew out, and the starters closed the game. So I'm looking at this, I'm like, okay, I'm finally going to get a little bit of luck on my side, right? Finally, I just don't have the worst possible luck, and I'm actually going to get two very chalky players not play the fourth quarter because of this random blowout. I'm like, yes, this is looking really, really good. And I look at my phone to begin the fourth quarter. I see Jaylen Brown's in the game. I'm like, all right, it's a 30-point game. Excuse me? So a couple minutes go by. I'm like, okay, I think I can stomach a couple minutes of Jaylen Brown here in the fourth quarter. I think I can still get away with it. I mean, there's just no way Jason Tatum's checking in, especially after like 4 minutes in the fourth quarter. It is literally a 30-point game at this point. No way, right? No way. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Massive chalk Jason Tatum, up by 30. He checked back in. And him and Jaylen Brown, the game's been over since midway through the third. They play into the 3-minute mark of the fourth and just absolutely smash in garbage time. Kyrie Irving. All right. So I was very, very high on this late game. I had LaMelo Ball as a core play. I was extremely high on Kevin Durant. So I just game stacked this game, hoping for some blowouts in the other games. Well, I got the blowouts, but the starters just stayed in the game, right? Now, my Kyrie Irving woes this year. When he first came back, I played him every slate, and every time it is just awful shooting, and they get destroyed. And this is when he had the team to himself, and most of the time at low ownership, and just every time, right? And then it was like a week and a half ago, he was extremely chalky, and I'm like, all right, I can't keep getting burned by Kyrie. I'm going to fade. He goes for 70. So this is my first time buying back into Kyrie Irving in the probably the best possible matchup. 6 of 22 shooting and starts the game like 0 of 8. So, I finished a couple points out of the money in tournaments. So let's go over all those things. And but Lowo and Jaylen Noel, I'm thinking, okay, the blowout he's going to get. No way. Minnesota's got enough guys. Jaylen Noel, he's not closing in the blowout. Nope, he doesn't get blowout run. So let's just go over everything, right? Kyrie Irving, 5% shooting, again for me. Robert Williams, injured. Grant Williams, massive foul trouble. Extremely chalky Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Play the whole fourth quarter, basically garbage time and all smash. If any one of those things didn't happen, no Grant Williams, foul trouble, no Robert Williams injury, no Kyrie Irving 5% shooting, or no massive chalk Tatum and Brown getting garbage time run, I'm having a great night. An average night from Kyrie, and I'm at least 2-3xing. And then the last piece of my lineup, I talked about this play. I went to Bismack Biyombo. He's going to play the backup 5. I was banking on DeAndre Ayton foul trouble. Ayton got a little bit of foul trouble, but it wasn't severe. He missed a couple minutes. So Biyombo had a good game. But I would have played one of those Utah guys over Biyombo had I known that Gobert was out before that news. But it's just another tick to me that no one runs worse. No one runs worse. So again, money line in the showdown slate. A couple people get away with playing the worst play, Jalen Brunson. And then all the stuff we just went over here on the main slate. So let's go over the Hall of Famer really quick. So again, you're seeing massive chalk. I faded chalk Patrick Beverley too. He was a bust, 70%. Jaylen Brown, 50%. Tatum, 70%. Right? Massive chalk. And I would have gotten away with fading them if they didn't come back in the fourth. But nah. Whole garbage time playing the whole fourth quarter, basically. Grant Williams, 80%. Hernan Gomez is 30%. Valanciunas, 20%. Let's see. What else? Again, we went over Rob Williams chalk. This is the winning lineup. Poole, Bullock, Grant Williams, Rob Williams, Tatum, LeBron, Hernan Gomez, Satoransky. So that's it for the look back, guys. It was, speaker season yesterday. Injuries, foul trouble, massive chalk players playing in the blowout that I don't have. No surprises, right? No surprise. Okay. Well, let's talk about this 9-game slate. Let's win some money on this one, guys. Start off on the Denver side. Oh, I still have... don't get me started in this late game. I'm already in pain from that late game. Let me just say this. I am pre-tilting Sunday night, the late night hammer Monday night. I'm pre-tilting that game already because you very well know what has happened to me when Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's been out for the Thunder. So, you know what's going to happen in that one. But all right, Denver and Charlotte, Jokic 12-2. Great matchup. Should be able to dominate here. I think he looks phenomenal. The mid-range guys in Barton, Gordon, Morris all look okay. It's a really, really good matchup. Low 30s minutes is my expectation for them. They're all fine secondary plays. Boogie Cousins is still playable in this game. And if something happens to Jokic or the game blows out, he can break a slate. So I'm always intrigued by Boogie there at 4-1. On the Charlotte side, so LaMelo Ball 8-9. Again, I was really high on him tonight. He went absolutely off. He went to the locker room too for a little bit. We get the news. So it was midway through the third of that Boston game. We get the Grant Williams massive foul trouble. We get the Robert Williams to the locker room, and then I check 30 seconds later, LaMelo Ball to the locker room. It's like I'm gonna go crazy. But yeah, LaMelo Ball 8.9. I don't think a lot of people play him, but still like his upside. Rozier and Bridges have a ceiling too, but I feel a little bit safer about LaMelo Ball. Now, as far as the bigs go, Washington, Plumlee, Harrell all in play. I would think Plumlee is their best bet to try to defend Jokic, but I also said that about Rudy Gobert, and he only played 16 minutes. So, if you want to take a shot in one of those Hornets bigs or tournaments, I don't think it's the worst idea. Orlando and Cleveland, not a ton that stands out to me. Still in pain from the chalk Chuma Okeke when I finally buy in. But we do have Wanda Carter Jr. back, so thankfully we don't have to deal with him. It's a tough matchup here, and the price points don't really stand out. There's honestly nothing that stands out to me. Mo Wagner's price is even up. There's just nothing I like. Hampton will probably start, but you have Fultz there. There's nothing I like in Orlando, to be honest. On the Cleveland side, not a ton either. I think Garland's a little bit overpriced. Mobley's priced about right. Kevin Love moved to the bench, and if he continues to come off the bench, I have no interest in him. Markin 6'6", that feels priced about right. I will mention LeVert. So if he starts again, I think I have some interest in him. They announced that he was going to start, and they had no more limit and played him 36 minutes. So LeVert would be the one guy I think I like in the Cleveland side, but that is really it. Atlanta and Indiana. So still no John Collins. We have Gallinari and Bogdanovich both questionable. If they are both out, it's going to be a lot of value here for Atlanta. But then Trae Young just had to do everything for the team in a great matchup, and he would look really good at the top. Now, we know Trae Young has a floor, and you know my Trae Young woes, right? Every time I play this guy, it's 10% shooting. I fade, it's this game, right? So, like his upside, he still has a floor, though. Clint Capella. He should play around 30 minutes. Should be able to have his way against his front courts. I think he looks pretty good there in the mid-range. And then these other options like Herter and Hunter, and even a DeLon Wright, right? If Gallinari and Bogdanovic both miss, I can't talk. Sorry. If they both miss, then you're going to see a lot of minutes for the likes of Herter, Hunter. Even a guy like DeLon Wright is going to be in play. They'll probably give Lou Williams some minutes at the flat min price. I don't think I could do it. I think it would be a little bit too cute. TLC would probably see some minutes. Still don't know if I'd be able to go there, but yeah, there would be a lot to like on the Atlanta side. Now, if they're both in, then I think it's really just Trae Young and Capella and a lot of just secondary options. Now, on the Pacers side, I'm still in just an enormous amount of pain from last slate. I go to a low on Lance Stevenson. Again, shoots 2 of 18 from the field and doesn't get the blowout run in an 8-man rotation when they're down by 40. It's the starters that close the game. The starters. Once again, we have a lot of question marks. Brogdon is out, so like Halliburton, Hield, they should play big minutes. I think they're fine contrarian plays. Brissett had a big game last game. Feels like a chase if you go there. Keep an eye on Goga Batadze news. If he is out, Jalen Smith should start. He started the game when I played him last slate with negative 0.5 points in 10 minutes. But yeah, him and Terry Taylor would split the center minutes if Goga Batadze is out, so keep an eye on that one. Anderson's priced up a little bit. If they have 8 bodies again, then we can start to look at some of these value plays. But if they have like 10, 11 guys active, it's going to be hard to feel confident about any of the value. Sacramento, Miami, so still no Fox, still no Sabonis. It's an awful matchup here, and price points are up. I still think you can consider Davion Mitchell. He's going to play about 40 minutes in regulation. He's going to do all the ball handling. He's going to do a big playmaking role and does have that shooting guard eligibility, as we mentioned. So I think he's a decent GBP play, but there's not much else that stands out. Barnes, Lyles, DiVincenzo, feel priced about right. Damian Jones, we went over that last slate, right? I play him. Massive foul trouble. Basically sits out the entire second half. Now you have his prices up. It's a tough matchup. Alex Len did play a decent amount in the second half there. I guess he's only 3.5K. He's playable, but not a lot that stands out to me on the Sacramento side. Jeremy Lamb's minutes went down as well. So, Sacramento's a team that looks pretty unappealing. On the Miami side, can they stop listing everyone as questionable? Just stop it, right? They're not questionable. Just this team really pissing me off with the injury report. But assuming everyone's healthy, it's a great matchup. So the top guys look good, and like Jimmy and Bam. If Hero doesn't play, you can look to Lowry. But if everyone's healthy, Miami's a pretty balanced team. And then you have to factor in the blowout risk. So again, kind of hard to talk about Miami right now. Chicago and New York. The Chicago side, Vooch, Levine, and DeRozan all just look okay at their respective price points. No standouts. Cruz had a big game last game, but feels like a chase to go there at 5.3. Io at 4.3 did play 30 minutes last game. I guess that's okay. Patrick Williams has really not seen a ton of minutes, so there's not a lot that stands out on the Chicago side, to be honest. On the Knicks side, so we do have Julius Randle back at 9.4K in a competitive game. He should see mid-30s minutes. I think him and Barrett both look decent at 9.4 and 8.4, but neither are priority plays for me. The rest of the Knicks, kind of hard to get to anyone with Randall back. I'll mention Mitchell Robinson at 5.5. I think he's viable for tournaments. Started last game, played 29 minutes. We know he has a ceiling, but also has a low floor because of his foul issues. Quickly, can consider him in tournaments. Did play 31 minutes today. He's been a pretty productive player for the Knicks so far. I think he's viable for tournaments, but that's about it. Boston and Toronto. So this Boston team, I think, is going to look pretty appealing. So we have no Robert Williams already. Al Horford not expected to play. And then we recently got news that Jason Tatum also might not play, implied that he may sit out with like a sore knee. So that is huge news, right? If Horford and Tatum are out, even though Toronto's a good defensive team, it's going to be hard to not load up on Boston. So number one, if Tatum is out, Jaylen Brown really stands out at 8K. I think he's one of the best plays of the slate. Has shooting guard, small forward eligibility. He would look amazing. Marcus Smart would look really good at 6K. Would probably be, the number 2 on offense and play huge minutes. Grant Williams, even though he's a low usage guy, he would probably play huge minutes. I think he would be fine. If Daniel Tice starts, I think he would be a great value. And then you're going to get more run for Derek White and Peyton Pritchard. Both those guys look really good too. So Pritchard, we know, is a pretty good point per minute guy and would probably have to play a good chunk of minutes if Horford and Tatum are out. You might even get a guy like Aaron Nesmith viable. He could potentially be a value if both Horford and Tatum are out. So Boston's a team we know runs a tight rotation, and if there's no Horford, Williams, and Jason Tatum, there's going to be a lot to like on the Boston side. Now, if Horford and Tatum both play, then it comes down to, okay, if Horford plays and starts at the 5, he's probably the guy that looks the best. And then, you can look to the top end guys, but Boston wouldn't look as appealing if both Tatum and Horford are in. On the Toronto side, another team that has caused me just so much money and just, puts me in incredible pain every night, this Toronto Raptors team. You know the woes. We don't have to recap that. But Van Fleet, that game, it was suspended for so long, so he just didn't come back. We have Gary Trent Jr. questionable. He's missed the last few games. If Gary Trent, Van Fleet both play, there's nothing that really stands out. If one or both miss, then we can start looking to these big, like a guy Chris Boucher would probably get that minutes increase to like around 30. He could be a potential play in the mid-range. We can maybe start considering the likes of like a Chua and like Armani Brooks, who actually started when Van Fleet didn't return. But if both guys end up playing, Toronto looks pretty unappealing. All right, San Antonio and Houston. DeJounte Murray, 11K. It's a great matchup if this game can stay competitive. So like his ceiling, 11K though is not super cheap. The secondary options in Johnson and Pirtle both feel priced about right. Vassell's probable. He looks okay. Lonnie Walker's questionable if he misses. Primo and Richardson should get a little bit more run. They're okay values. On the Houston side, so 2 games ago, I played Wood at low ownership. Was on pace to break the slate. Massive blowouts. I'm like, okay, I can't fade him, right? If I fade and he goes off, I just gonna lose it, right? So I go back to Christian Wood. And this is all right. I have been preaching for Sengun to play more minutes the entire year. Play him more. Play him more. Play him more. Well, they finally played him more. When I played Christian Wood, they closed with Sengun. No fourth quarter run for Christian Wood. So right now they're spreading out the minutes a lot for Houston. I think Wood and Kevin Porter Jr. are viable GPP plays. If you're confident Sengun plays mid-20s minutes, you can take a look at him. We know he's a good point per minute guy. But this team right now they're just running a deep rotation, basically playing 10 guys and really spreading out the minutes. So just not a lot that stands out, which means you're going to get the big Wood game next game for sure. Golden State. So Steph Curry out, Klay Thompson, Green, and Otto Porter not expected to play. So there's going to be a lot to like for Golden State. We'll start with Jordan Poole at 8-1. It's too cheap. With all these guys out, in my opinion, he should be like a 9K player. So I really like Jordan Poole here. He's going to do everything for the team and probably play around 40 minutes. Wiggins, 6'8", feels a little bit pricey. But the value. So I would expect the starting lineup to be Poole, Moody, Wiggins, Kuminga, and Looney. And if that is in fact the starting lineup, I think both the bigs, Kuminga and Looney, but especially Kuminga is going to look good. In typical Steve Kerr fashion, back-to-back starts for Jonathan Kuminga, minutes slashed. Comes off the bench, averages like 25 a game, 25 minutes. He starts, let's cut his minutes in half. You know my hatred for Steve Kerr, but I think Kuminga's going to look like a really good value. Kevon Looney probably plays mid-20s minutes to be a safe value. And then I would assume we get pretty solid minutes for Gary Payton off the bench. I think he would look really, really good. I think Bielitsa would be in the rotation and should play around 20 minutes. I think he would be in play for value. You'd probably see Lee and JTA in the rotation because we know Steve Kerr loves playing everyone. And then Moses Moody, I would think starts. If he does, you can play him. He did only play 17 minutes last start against Miami for what it's worth, though. All right, on the Memphis side, so still no John Morant. We have Triple J and Clark both questionable, which is pretty big news. We'll start with Tyus Jones, who, if the game's is competitive, is still too cheap. He should be about a 7K player right now. He's only 5.8K. Massive blowout here. I think Tyus Jones is too cheap, and once again, a really good play there in the mid-range. Desmond Bane depends on Jaren Jackson Jr. news. If Jaren Jackson Jr. is out, Bane's going to be a pretty high usage player. He's played extremely well of late, so keep an eye on that news. If there's no Jaren Jackson Jr., I think Adams looks better. He probably plays around 30 minutes. We know he has a ceiling when Triple J is in foul trouble. Dylan Brooks at 6'4", probably plays low 30s minutes. I think he's fine. Obviously score independent. D'Anthony Melton's in play for tournaments. He's played extremely well off the bench, but not playing huge minutes. If both Jaren Jackson and Clark are out, what I would guess happens is that Slow-Mo moves in the starting lineup, and I would think he plays 25 to 30 minutes and would be a good value. And then Xavier Tillman would be that guy that would play kind of the backup 4, backup 5. He's been doing that with Clark out last couple games. So if they're both out, I think Xavier Tillman would be a pretty good value play. So right now, again, with Memphis, it's hard to say. Like if Jaren Jackson Jr. is out and Clark starts, I think he looks really good. So some question marks there, but definitely a team I want some interest in. Do I need to rehash what has happened with the Thunder with me over the last week and a half? No, right? I think you guys know. If you don't, just go back and watch the previous videos. No Shea, no Giddey, no Dort. Baisley doubtful. No Williams, no Jerome, no Favors, no Jerry, no Muscala. I believe this team's only going to have 8 active players. Let's count it out. Pokusevski 1. Man 2. Again, Baisley is doubtful, so not expecting him to play. Pokusevski 1, Man 2, Roby 3, Maledon 4, Wiggins 5. Waters 6, Vit 7, Olivier Sarr 8. I believe they're going to only have 8 active players. 2 awful teams going up against each other, and you have an 8-man rotation most likely for the Thunder. So I'm ready to lose more money with these guys. My guess for the starting lineup is Maledon, Trey Mann, Wiggins, Pokusevski, and Roby, with Waters, Vit, and Sarr coming out the bench. That's who I guess starts. So, I mean, it's hard not to really like the Thunder. If we get mid-30s minutes from Pokusevski, he's underpriced. Mann should be a very high-usage player in this offense. He might shoot the ball 20-plus times. Isaiah Roby is a good point per minute guy. The issue is, the minutes for him, but he would probably play over 30 minutes in this game. Maledon got the start last game after, we get starting lineup after lock. We know he's a guy that can stuff the stat sheet. I think he looks amazing. Aaron Wiggins has been awful this year, but he would probably play big minutes and be in play. And then you have Waters, Vit, and Sarr that are all playable as well because they're super cheap. I would expect all 3 of these guys to probably play at least 15 to 20 minutes. So a lot to like for the Thunder, unfortunately. And it's basically the same thing on the Blazers side. I think it's only going to be 8 active players. So no Lillard, no Nurkic, no Hart, no Simonson, Watford, no Winslow, no Little, no Bledsoe, possibly no Brown. I think he plays, though. No Zeller, no Smith Jr., no Ingles, no whatever Dede, whatever his name is. So Eubanks is 1, Williams is 2, LB 3, Dunn 4, McLemore 5, Keon Johnson 6, Elijah Hughes 7. Well, that's 7. So Greg Brown will be the 8th if he plays, and he's questionable. So right now I'm assuming Greg Brown plays. So here we go again. Basically the same situation. Awful team with most likely an 8-man rotation. It's hard not to like Portland. So I don't know who's going to start. I have no idea at this point. Chauncey's just switching up the starting lineup. You have interest in all 8 players here. So Eubanks, 7-1. Not a super cheap price point, but probably starts and plays 30 to 35 minutes. I think he looks solid. Brandon Williams is 6'9". He's been up. He's been down. But he probably starts and plays big minutes. I think he looks decent there. Chris Dunn at 4'4". Probably has to play pretty big minutes. They've kind of taken it easy on his minutes recently, but I would think he's pushing for about 30 minutes. I think he looks great. Ellaby, his minutes have kind of been up and down, but would think he plays around 30 minutes. I think he looks pretty good. Greg Brown, could start this game. If he does, he's going to look really, really good. McLemore, we know scoring dependent, but he probably sees at least 20 minutes or so, maybe more. Keon Johnson has been awful, but, he should see over 30 minutes. I think he looks good for value. Elijah Hughes, again, not a very productive player, but he's going to have to play too. So, basically, I have interest in all 8 of these Portland guys. And we'll just keep an eye on news and see what the starting lineup is. But I think you could play any of these 8 guys in this rotation. So, not a fun game to end it on. But if both those teams have 8-man rotations, it's going to be hard to get away from that late game. So that's going to wrap it up for the video, guys. As always, really appreciate you guys watching the video and, leaving a like button and subscribing to the channel and all that good stuff. Helps me out a ton. Thanks again, guys, and I will see you all in the next video.